think to myself, what a wonderful world.
Yo, what's going on? It's Future Scott. Sorry to interrupt you guys. Unfortunately, due to technical issues, we filmed an hour and a half worth of footage, and unfortunately, it's not working. So, this is still a full hour-long podcast, but it mainly focuses on the boarding group system rather than the actual ride itself. So the only thing that you're missing out on is our review of the actual Rise of the Resistance. The file got corrupted and I can't get it back, but I'm thankful that I still have this hour long of the boarding group system. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and just remember that all the opinions expressed in this are just our opinions, so don't take it too harshly. But yeah, sorry about that, guys. I may make a separate video regarding my review on the actual attraction, but like I said, the only thing you're missing out in this podcast that was not able to get placed into this episode is our review on Rise of the Resistance. But enjoy the rest of the podcast. What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to SoCal Exploring. My name is Scott, and welcome back to the Keep Exploring podcast. I am joined today by Gabe from ThemeParkDuo.
What's going on, man? Thanks for having me.
No problem. So today, we have a very interesting topic that has been all over social medias between the theme park community and everything, and this one's going to be a big one. This is my most anticipated podcast yet, in my opinion, just because it's such a big topic, and that is the Rise of the Resistance. So the main thing that I want to focus on today is whether or not the boarding group system is fair, what's the process of it, and then we'll talk a little bit about the actual attraction and our experience, because we were both there on opening day of Rise of the Resistance at Disneyland. I want to talk about our experience throughout the day, and then I want to talk more about our experience with the actual attractions towards the end of the podcast. And pre-warning, there will be spoilers in this, so whenever a spoiler is coming up, we'll make sure to say, spoiler ahead. But for the most part, if you're watching this expecting there to be no spoilers, and it's going to be kind of hard to dodge it, but we're really going to dive in to everything, because Gabe got there super early, way earlier than me, and I got there super early. So we have
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and you'll know what we mean when we say unfortunately. I'm a little bit deeper into this podcast, but real quick, I want to read my disclaimer. All views and opinions expressed in this video by SoCal Exploring or anyone involved with the video are solely our own opinions and should not be taken harshly if one may disagree with our various outlooks on whatever the topic may be at the time. Basically, what that means is don't get too triggered by what we say.
Yeah, punks. What?
Yeah, I know that it's really easy to go in the comment section and say stuff, so just don't get triggered. A lot of people in the theme park community have been very touchy with this topic, so we're just going to let it all out, be our genuine selves. And yeah, let's get started with this. So
you're talking positively about Disney. That means you must hate Universal. Let me write 6 paragraphs about that.
Exactly. So let's dive right into it. Let's start off with not our experience with the boarding group system, but exactly how the day went. I'll let you start from the night before to leading up to right before they open up the gates.
So basically, I didn't know what the plans were. Disney wasn't very vocal about what the plans were, what time they were going to open the park, what time, boarding groups were going to be called until much, much later in the game. So I had already made this whole grand scheme plan of what I was going to do, and that was going down to a hotel down in Anaheim, wake my butt up at the butt crack of dawn, and get to the gates, because I did not know what the process was going to be, if they were going to do paper tickets for the people who were there early or what. So I spent the night about 2 blocks away from the Disneyland Resort. I could actually see the back of Mickey's Fun Wheel. FYI, there's some broken lights on the back of that mother right there. You can't see them, though, from inside the park, so that's all that matters. So on the day that Rise opened, I was actually up at 1 in the morning and got out of my hotel and walked from my hotel to Disneyland with my buddy Nico from Entertainment Connection. Around 1:30 in the morning. We got to the gates around 2 in the morning, so that's when we got there. There was a lot of people already there, and I was actually kind of shocked. I was actually really surprised that many people were up that early. There was actually people that I heard that were there since 11 p.m. the night before, which is absolutely insane. And you will find infuriating once we talk about it a little bit later about what actually ended up happening. But once we got there, good amount of people there. It's like on and off, mist, raining. Like it's actually coming down pretty good. And then that's kind of it. And then there was a big period and chunk of just waiting there, standing there waiting to get into the park before the sun even rose.
And the crazy thing is like the amount of people, like you said, that were there, that early, like especially 11 p.m. Like, that was early. It was just insane on how many people were there because Disney had released that there's no advantage to getting there early, but like you said, nobody knew when they were going to open. You didn't know if they were going to do paper tickets or what. And that's one of the reasons I got there early. So with me, I got there. I got to Toy Story parking lot at 4 a.m. I had a hotel as well, but it was a little bit further away from Disney just because everything was sold out already by the time I was looking for hotels. And I live more in the San Diego County, as some of you may know. So I had a hotel, but it was far out from Disney, which was unfortunate. But whatever, we couldn't walk across. So the big question was like, hey, Disney, when are you going to open parking? It's a lot of us were going off about that on Twitter. When are you going to open parking? All the Disneyland Twitter accounts and everything finally responded to people.
The night before.
Yeah, the night before saying, oh, hey, Toy Story is going to open at midnight and the parking garage is going to open an hour and a half before actual park opening. So it still left a lot of us confused because if they're opening Toy Story parking lot at midnight, they obviously know people are going to line up early, so Disney must know, hey, how's the process going to be for the boarding group system? Are we going to open it early? Whatever. So there's that, and that gave me more clarity as to, okay, I need to get there early to get a boarding group. Fortunately, that wasn't the case. I got there at 4 in the morning, got on the there was like no wait for the bus at all, which I hate parking in Toy Story. I don't know what I hate parking in Toy Story.
I absolutely despise Toy Story. That is literally hell on earth.
And if some of you guys don't know where Toy Story is across from the Anaheim Convention Center. So it's like further down, you had to take a bus, and the bus is usually long because the Toy Story lot is huge, and there's just so many people taking the buses. It's a hell of a thing. But we got on the bus around 4:15, and it was quick and easy, and we got to the park, and everybody was already lined up. Now, around 4:15 is when, like I said, we got there security in the monorail and the Esplanade. The monorail track, the line was already past the monorail track with all of the different gates, all the different lanes. The line was already past it. I think it was like a little bit past it. We were actually almost right underneath the monorail track, but just to get a feel of how the crowds were then. Now, they originally told us when we went through security that they were going to open the gates at 7 o'clock, and that's what they were telling everybody. But then I guess too many people got filled up the Esplanade, and they opened it earlier. What was it, 5:30, I think?
It was around 5:30, 5:45, yeah. By the way, when you went through security, did they tell you that crowd control was going to come through? So when we got there around like 2 in the morning, one of the security guards was like, "Hey, FYI, crowd control is going to come through and move everybody." And I was like, huh, are you really expecting to move around 200, 300 people?
Oh yeah, because they knew
and everybody. Yeah, no, but like, are you expecting that to happen peacefully? Because I guarantee you, the person who was there at 11 o'clock the night before is going to throw an effing hissy fit.
Exactly.
When you try to move him, and 100 people are going to end up in front of him.
Exactly.
Because at this point, nobody knew that it was literally going to be a crapshoot for obtaining these boarding passes. So I mean, like, I didn't expect that in reality to happen. I just wanted to know at one point, did they end up stop saying that to somebody?
I guess they did, because they realized, like, I think that Disney was prepared for it, and they also weren't prepared for it at the same time. They're like, okay, we're prepared, a lot of people are going to come, and then they see the crowd and they're like, oh shit, like, it's actually happening,
Yeah.
So I think that's where it played in the factor of like them saying, oh, crowd control, whatever, to you guys earlier. And then they started to see the crowd build up, and they're like, oh, well, yeah, that's going to change real quick.
Yep.
But the bottom line is everybody was confused because they opened the ride in Walt Disney World last month in December, and there was tons of confusion there. I mean, everybody lined up early just like they did at Disneyland, but they opened the boarding group system like an hour before they said they were, and everything was just really confusing. It was a mess at Disney World. So with Disneyland, that is, I don't know if this is one of the, it sounds like it, the main reason that I got there early on opening day at 4 in the morning, not to have an advantage to camping out, it was just because I didn't know when they were going to open the system, because like,
yeah,
I wanted to make sure at least I rode the ride, I didn't know when they were going to open the boarding group system.
And like we had mentioned, we didn't know if they were going to be doing paper tickets for us and maybe a boarding system for everybody else after the park opens, because they were using the paper tickets for cast member previews. They were handing those out.
Yeah.
So it wasn't outside of the realm of possibility that they would say, okay, well, there's these 600 people who are here this early. Let's give them the paper tickets. Let them have that, and then everybody who else comes to the park afterwards can do the online system. That didn't seem too far out of reach for me, which is another reason why I showed up early, because I just really didn't know. I mean, when it all comes down to it, like, lack of information, not knowing, and making the poor decision to wake up at 1 in the morning.
We were saying, like, Disneyland didn't release when parking was going to open and everything till literally the night before. It was like 6 o'clock when I got the message.
And I think it's that. I know you messaged me, and then I posted stuff, and I messaged you back and stuff. But, like, I honestly think that's because they didn't know.
Yeah.
I don't think they had a gauge of, like, what they should do, which is weird because you would think they had a lot of time to plan this out. And they had the opportunity to watch this,
Disney World happen?
Yeah, Disney World's debacle happened, so they saw that. So they could at least have said, like, okay, well, we plan on opening it earlier for sure. Keep, stay tuned to our socials so we can tell you. But it's definitely going to open early, and it's going to probably happen at this time. At least give some general consensus of what the plan is, as opposed to leaving everybody high and dry. Because guess what? I actually think it's going to end up worse if you give people no information, because it's exactly what ended up happening. People are going to be waiting this since 11 o'clock the night before. If you had said, like, straight out, like, I know that they said there wouldn't be any, like, advantage, but they said
it wasn't known. It was hugely known.
Yeah, it was very vague. And then Disney sometimes lies too, or changes their mind.
And that was another thing why I always lined up early, because Disney lies.
No, they do. And then when it comes to that whole situation, if they had said straight out, like a month before, they said the Toy Story parking lot will open early. The time is yet to be determined, but everybody can obtain a boarding pass at 8 o'clock. At 8 o'clock, the boarding pass system will open, and you can obtain it then. If you show up earlier, you will not be able to obtain a boarding pass.
Yeah, because Disney released, like, an article 2 days before saying, like, oh, are you ready to get Resistance ready? Here's how you do it, etc., etc., etc. Boarding groups will open at normal park operating hours. But that was also very vague, so that left the confusion. Are they going to screw us like Walt Disney World and say that very vaguely in their article, but then be like, hey, 6 in the morning, boarding groups are open? And that was one of the things that left everybody confused. Because for the most part, it was APs that were there, lined up early.
Yeah, I mean, I got lucky. I was invited there by one of the cast members, so I actually got in for free that day because I don't have an annual pass anymore. But when you leave a very vague instructional, like, paragraph, you leave the possibility for people to read too far into it, which we did. And we thought, oh, well, they're leaving it very loose and open, so maybe there's a chance it'll open up earlier, or maybe they're lying, maybe they're trying to deter people from going, but we should go anyway. If they are very stern in their delivery of the facts, I think it would help. Yeah. I don't think it would fix it all, because I think people are going to still show up regardless, because that's human. That's human nature, just to show up. To form a line and be there early. That's human nature. That's totally fine.
Especially even if Disney came out and said, hey, there's going to be no advantage at all, like a million times, people would still show up early. That's just the fact.
Yeah, I do think that there would be less, but no, people would still show up, period.
It's opening day. People are going to do it. People are going to think no matter what that they have an advantage.
People are jazzed. People want to ride the ride.
Exactly. I can't blame them.
Yeah, I can't blame them for that.
So fast forwarding to when they actually let us in the gates, the whole, like, when we're all camped out there and whatever, I mean, I'm a little bit biased because I didn't experience the rain, but I thought for the most part it was cool. Everybody was getting along well, and everybody was there for the same reason. Cast members were hyping everybody up. Despite the cold weather and the rain, it was cool. There was nothing that happened that was bad. Like, all the crowds were tame except for you little assholes that were cutting the lines.
Oh my god, dude, don't get me freaking started.
I know, it's like, oh, I saw so many people doing it, and I was just, oh my god, like, come on, really? So, like, even if there's no advantage, like, still, like, just that something that it does to a human that, like, sees someone cut after you've been waiting there for a long time, like, come on.
So, obviously I was there at 2 in the morning, and I'm not a fan of cutting. Even if I know somebody in line, I would have said, like, hey, I don't actually feel quite comfortable going in line with you, because all these people have been waiting here much longer than me. I just genuinely don't feel comfortable
Yeah, I would have been
going
like,
in line
hey,
with
Gabe,
you.
hey, let me meet you up there. I know you're in the front.
Yeah. Yeah, I would feel very weird letting you. Even though we're friends, I would be like, I mean, like, all these people have been here since 2 in the morning,
If
dude.
you
Like,
have like a good like if you have like a good soul and everything and you know that and you have like that theme park mentality, you know that even if like you can be the best friends with someone, you're still gonna feel guilty for letting them cut with you.
yeah, and I got really mad because I saw a couple people, notable people that you would notice their face and the name if I had said them,
Yeah.
show up at 5.
Oh yeah, I saw it too. I saw it.
At 5 and get in line at the front of the gate because there's people that they know.
Yeah,
and that
the thing is that it's,
ah
they and that's another topic I'm going to talk about, which will probably be a more controversial topic, is the fact that Disney bloggers are all good friends. And I don't want to point out, and I'm not going to point out any names. It's just like Disney bloggers are all friends. Just keep that in mind, people that are listening to this.
and the thing is, like, I totally get it.
Yeah.
Like, I get that you're there early. What if somebody couldn't wake up? Like, I totally get it. But at least keep everybody else in mind that you're going in front of that's been there for that long of a
Especially
time.
that, like closer towards when they're opening the gates, they let people know that it's not gonna like boarding group assistants aren't gonna open at 8. So why wouldn't they be like, hey, I mean, there's gonna be no advantage. Everyone's gonna get let into the gates, like, you know.
It's a talking point. It's like, oh, it was the first one in the gates on the day the Rise of the Resistance opened, because that's all Disney bloggers sound like. I guess I don't know.
So they let us in. They let us into the end of Main Street. And it was like 6 o'clock in the morning. And then they gave the announcement, the official announcement, instead of just cast member passing it through cast members' ears. They gave the official announcement like there will be a virtual boarding queue that will open at 8 o'clock, and they played it like 3 times. So at this point, Disney wasn't lying to us. They made it very firm. That was 8 o'clock. Which then everyone started to get triggered about it because they're like, okay.
Literally, at that point, literally everyone's refreshing the page just in case.
Yeah, I mean, you could hear the sigh when they announced that, which it comes with here's how I looked at it. Like, I go back to the whole, like, I got there early because of the confusion. I looked at it as like, okay, I knew that possibility was there, that there was no advantage of getting there early, and I knew that the possibility of getting there early would help. There was 50-50. Now, one thing that I don't like is how everybody got so upset about it. Now, it's one thing to get upset about it because you got there early. Obviously, as Disney, you should be rewarding the people who get there early for lining up early and being so dedicated to want to ride the attraction. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. So they let us into the hub, and where did you go? Like, where did you line up before?
I was literally like dead center of the road, maybe 15 people back from the front, 15 or 20 people back from the front. That's where I ended up being. I had a great view of the world's longest Starbucks line.
Yeah, oh my god, that shit was insane.
It's like, you came here this early for that? That's why you're here?
And I was insane because I was like, yeah, I want to go get Starbucks. And then I see the line. I'm like, never mind. It goes into the lockers. I don't want to do that anymore. And then later on, around 6:30, when more people came in, it was down Main Street. And I was like, okay, well, that's insane. And it's still like that.
Well, when they let us out of that area of Main Street, the line at that point reached the photo, like the Kodak photo corner.
And
that's where it was.
Yeah, it was insane. Like, it had to be like a 45-minute wait just to get a coffee.
It's absolutely insane. Yeah, I would never be caught dead there.
Yeah, I could not. So they let us into the hub around 6:30ish, like the actual hub where they would normally do rope drop and hold everybody there in the hub area. You went to space or Tomorrowland area. Right?
Yeah, so I went to the Tomorrowland entrance area, and I didn't even realize that there was a shit ton of people sitting on the other entrance near Pixie Hollow, just on the other side of the Astro Orbiter. I didn't even realize that.
So, because I'm a little bit confused about this. I still am confused about this. Was there a motive to go to Tomorrowland? Like, were they giving out paper, or were they saying they were going to give out paper tickets, or that was the thing that everyone was thinking?
So, let me pull this up, because I had a cast member friend who showed me this picture that kind of explained a little bit. So, from what we understood, they were going to do paper boarding passes. Like, they were going to do them. But the whole, like, thought behind going that direction was, okay, well, we're all going to be on our phones. If there is some mess up in the system where the system crashes, at least we're right near where they're doing the paper version of it. And then if for some reason this goes wrong, they'll be right there. We could grab one and we'll be fine. Instead of like being over in Adventureland and being like, oh shit, like, well, our phones are done. There's no way we're going to get a boarding pass now because we're nowhere near Buzz Lightyear. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it said that step 1, the Disneyland app will display a Star Wars Rise of Resistance module. This page will tell guests of the attraction is admitting by boarding groups only. Then it says paper. After entering the park, guests may visit a designated FastPass distribution location to join a boarding group. Buzz Lightyear, Astro Blasters, and Splash Mountain will be used starting January 17th. So there was paper tickets you could have gotten, but because we'll get to this because that it all happened so quickly, I doubt a single soul got a paper version.
Well, because that's what I was really confused about, because I really had no plan. I knew how like I was gonna go about getting the boarding pass and how I was gonna like speed test at different places, but I had no plan because they held us in the hub and it was starting to get to like 7:30 and it's like, okay, like what do I do? Because I have half of the people running to Galaxy's Edge, okay, and then I have the other half of people going to Tomorrowland, and it looks like people are posting about like near the Buzz Fast Pass area, so it's like, are they getting guaranteed like boarding groups over there or something, you know? And then,
yeah, it's like your mind starts to run wild and create all these scenarios.
Because it was just really confusing. Everyone wanted to get a boarding group, and obviously, like we knew from Walt Disney World, they were going to go fast. So we just want to make sure, like, you got to ride the ride. And surely in my head, I was like, surely there's no way they're giving out paper paper boarding groups because I mean, they'd have to be fast. Like they'd be all gone. Like there's just no way.
Yeah. And I mean, I didn't even realize how fast they were going to go. So, like, going through this experience, I'm like, okay, well, there's probably going to be, like, a good 5-minute gap where people, grab them and then eventually they'll be gone and people can go up to the kiosk and try and stuff like that. I didn't realize how crazy it was going to be. I really did not. And I think any concept of how crazy it could have been was not anywhere near what it was. And I think that was the scariest part.
It was. And everybody was confused, especially people started to get mad and everything, and I was getting really pissed off because they had all these tourists there too that were like just there and didn't know what was going on. There was no disrespect to tourists, it's just like it was just stressful. So I'm glad that they let us in at 7:45 to like the actual park, because I didn't want to be just cooped up in the hub there. I feel like that just would have made everything 10 times worse, being cooped up in the hub for when the boarding pass system went live. So they let us in. They dropped the ropes to the rest of the park at 45. They're walking people to Galaxy's Edge. It seemed to where all the bloggers were going. So in my head, I'm like, that may be the right area. But then also in my head, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be smart about this. I'm going to go where people aren't going. And that was just, I was running speed tests on my phone and seeing where the best like coverage was. So my one recommendation to everybody watching this is to go an area where there's not a lot of people at, because people have been experiencing app crashes and everything as they're trying to get it and being lagged out, and that's solely because, in my opinion, I think the boarding pass system is a lottery system, but it also has to do with how quickly your phone responds to the servers. So if
it also depends on your provider too.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you have a crap provider, then in a way, like, you're kind of screwed over.
Sprint.
Yeah, but also don't go on the Disney Wi-Fi. Like, Disney Wi-Fi is not good. I don't recommend it. It does not. And a lot of the app crashes are happening because people are going on the Disney Wi-Fi because everyone's on the server.
Yeah.
So you have an advantage to getting a better boarding group and actually getting a boarding group and not having your app crash where there's less people. And I had that in the back of my head, and I was like, okay, hopefully this is the right area. And so I went to like the Frontierland area, found a good spot. 8 o'clock hit. Savannah, my girlfriend, was tracking the seconds on her phone. So as soon as it hit 8, what I did was I had the app open to where it like was the actual Rise page at, and as soon as it hit 8, I pressed my status, and then it lit up join a boarding group like in blue. clicked it, confirm guess, you're group 20, which was actually group 8 on opening day. And that was like the fastest like I've ever done. And then I'll let you dive into how your process went on opening day, and I'll dive into when I went on day 2.
Yeah, so when they did the rope drop, this is something you didn't get to experience, and this is the thing that I was talking about was the scariest thing, was as soon as that rope drop, people freaking sprinted to Buzz Lightyear. Sprinted.
So the crowd's over there. I was like, that's insane how many people are over there.
They were sprinting there, and I think the worst part of it was that like everyone was just trying to cram themselves in that small little fast pass queue, standing there.
Internet servers right there.
Or something, I have no clue, but they all rammed themselves there, including families with kids, and people are getting pushed, and it's like literally like a mosh pit at a concert. Like, it's the worst. So we're all standing there for 15 minutes refreshing our phones. Luckily, it was me and Nico was doing it on his phones too, so by the time that 8 o'clock rolled around, same thing like you said, you refresh it, it turned blue, you click it. I tried to do it, but it said you're already part of a boarding group because Nico had gotten it before I did.
Yeah.
So I don't know what boarding group I would have gotten if he hadn't done it, because he got 50.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of my experience. And that even shows you, you showed up at, like 5 in the morning. I was there at 2 in the morning. You got a better boarding group than I did. So it really comes down to chance. And the thing is that they keep calling this a virtual queue. This isn't a virtual queue. This is a lottery system. That's the big difference here, is people keep wanting to call it a virtual queue. It's not a virtual queue. It would be a virtual queue if you could go up to the ride, scan your ticket, and say, okay, I need to come back in 50 minutes. That's a virtual queue. It's not a virtual queue when you potentially don't even have the option to ride if you're not there at the right time. To me, that's kind of messed.
Oh, yeah, because it should be like you can go up to the ride and join the virtual queue, and that's why everybody got there early, so they can be the first ones over there.
Yeah, that is what a true virtual queue is. This is a lottery system. They should really call it what it is. It's not a virtual queue. It's a lottery system. And then when they call your number, then you go.
It's random. It is random.
Yeah, it's random.
But and there is some ways to bypass the randomness. Like I said, if you just go where there's not a lot of people at, because your app's gonna crash. Now this won't improve your chances of being like picked early because your phones are reacting to the server faster. It's just solely because if you go to where there's a lot of people at, or you stay on Main Street, which Main Street has bad coverage, your app's gonna crash. Like, a lot of people's apps have been crashing. A lot of stuff has been going wrong. Your app's just gonna crash. It's not a okay, you'll get into the boarding group first. It's just your app's gonna crash, and there's gonna be issues with your phone and other technical issues. It doesn't change the fact what pick you get or whatever.
What is helpful is if you have more than one person actually standing there trying.
Yeah, because we did 2, and like you said, the same thing happened. Both the days I got in before Savannah did, so it didn't let her do it at all.
Do you have two different providers?
Yeah, no, not two different providers. I had the same T-Mobile.
So you have T-Mobile, okay. Nico had AT&T, I have Sprint. Sprint's horrible at all the theme parks. Like, it's god-awful.
Okay, I've heard AT&T is pretty good, so T-Mobile's never given me any issues. And that's another thing we'll dive into is the phone providers and the privilegedness that people want to argue. But so I went day 2 because I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it again. This time we got there we were running a little late. So we got to the parking garage at 7:15ish, and the line was really long. So we just decided to walk there, but then the line was long as security at Downtown Disney. Bottom line is we rushed in. We got into the park like at 7:45. 15 minutes before.
Oh, wow.
Same crowds and everything.
Lucky.
Same crowds and everything. Went to the same exact place. Did the same exact thing. Nobody was around us or anything like that. Joined the boarding group. We got boarding group number 1.
Oh my god, dude.
So it was boarding group number 5, but for whatever reason they were doing it. Like 5 was number 1 that day.
It was like the first one they called.
Yeah. So that is where I got confused, because if it's a lottery system, then how come I was able to get 2 super early boarding groups being away from everybody and just like having a tactic to clicking it fast? I think it comes down to how fast you click it. I really do.
That's all it is. It's how fast you're able to click, how fast it refreshes on your phone, how fast your phone connects to the server and gets your number.
I've stressed this between like my videos and everything on Twitter. It's just how fast your phone reacts. That's it. There's no like there's it's just how fast your phone reacts. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, that's really all it is. And if your phone's slow, then your reaction is going to be slow. You're going to get a crappy number, if not get one at all.
Exactly. So now that dives into now we jump into the juicy stuff. The boarding group system in a whole. Now, a lot of the general. Okay, so I'm gonna split this up. There's the theme park / Disney bloggers, and then there's their normal people who are APs. Or actually, no, let's group the APs. The diehard APs with the Disney bloggers and the theme park bloggers, and then it has to have the general guest. So the general guests are saying like, hey, like it's like the boarding group system's okay, but it's a little bit stressful. The Disney bloggers and etc. are saying this isn't fair at all. Why should we have to join a boarding group and then have to wait 13 hours to ride the ride later in the night, etc., etc., etc. And then now the general people like me in the middle are saying, okay, why are people acting so privileged? So I'm just curious to see what your view is on this, because there's like 3 different arguments right now.
And so the 3 are people complaining that they have to wait. People complain.
So there's the people, the bloggers and everything who don't like the boarding group because you go early in the morning and you should have an advantage to getting there early, but instead you have to wait 10 hours and go later. Whereas if there's a standby line, they'd be fine waiting in a 3-hour line to ride the ride, which to my argument is I don't think it'd be a 3-hour line. I think it'd be way more, as we've seen with like rides like Hagrid's, or I'm gonna go off topic right now. Hagrid's magical creature, whatever the long name.
motorbike adventure through the city of Orlando plus animals.
Opening day was people were waiting 10 hours, and that's no joke. People were waiting 10 hours. All right, and
even Flight of Passage still pulls 5 to 6 hours at times.
So for these people and APs and everything that argue saying we'll wait in a 4-hour line, whatever, etc. It's not going to be a 4-hour line. It's going to be way longer even on weekdays. That's just how it is. So to my argument to that, I think that the boarding group system would be better.
I think that the system that they're using is the best way to do it fairly. Meaning, like, if you're going to be in the park at opening, everyone has a fair shot. To me, that is the best way of giving everybody a fair shot at doing it. I do think that the people who want that advantage of being there early are only going to be the AP people because they have the opportunity to do that. They're dedicated to doing that, and I think calling them spoiled might be a little too far, but it's them wanting what they normally get, which is an advantage, like you mentioned. I think that's a little out of line. Do I personally think that, hey, just let everybody wait for the ride, that's how it should be? Yeah, kind of. I think that just let the line get as long as it gets.
Yeah. And so if you don't want to wait in it, then wait in it.
Yeah, and then if you don't want to wait in it, then go on the other rides. It's totally fine. Exactly. But then again, with this system, you can get your boarding group and then go on other rides at the same time. So I guess it's the same kind of thing as waiting, I guess. But I don't know. That's just me. I'm more of just the traditional, just get in line and just wait. Yeah, that's how it is. That's how I pictured it.
Both arguments. I can see it from people saying, hey, I don't want to wait in a 10-hour line. And I can also see it from the APs who are like, we'll wait in a 10-hour line just fine because we think that it's unfair that we had to wait 10 hours. And they think that it's unfair that they had to wait 10 hours for their boarding group to get called because they go to Disney all the time, so they're always there. They don't want to be spending a full day at Disney. They just want to ride the ride and then, have their fun at Disney and leave. So that is, I feel like from the general audience point of view, not my point of view, I feel like from the general audience point of view, that's where they're getting the privilege side of things from, like, oh, you guys are annual pass holders. So
I just want to go home and sleep until my boarding group is called.
Exactly. And in my defense, in the middle area, I'm like, if I get a late boarding group, I'm going to go home and just go back to the park later, I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
And me personally, I wish that they would just do the standby line, but could I see myself waiting in an 8-hour plus line as opposed to getting there early and getting a boarding group? I don't think I can see myself waiting an 8-hour line.
I waited 6 to 7 hours for Toy Story Midway Mania when it opened. I don't think I could do that ever again.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I can't do anything past like an hour and a half line. I can't. It's just really hard.
Yeah. See, like if Rise had like a 3-hour wait, I would totally wait 3 hours.
It's a new ride, you know. I feel so.
I would totally wait 3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hour wait opening day. I'm gonna wait for it, obviously.
Four is pushing it.
Yeah, I mean we all waited there like 4 or 5 hours earlier, so it's like, yeah, you know,
It's equivalent. It equals. It equates to that.
yeah. So I don't know. I think that Disney has the right vision. I think that they really do have the right vision. Unfortunately, Disney can't win in this situation because obviously they're not going to please everybody, and everybody just likes to attack Disney nowadays because of the route that they're going. But I think,
Well, think about it. Like regardless of what they did, they would have been attacked. You know, like no boarding group. Everybody waits. Whoa! Why are you doing that?
exactly. Why should we wait in 10-hour wait and then the ride breakdown, etc.?
Disney wants the publicity for a 10-hour wait. They want the news to cover it as like a 10-hour wait. It's a blowout of Universal.
Exactly. And you know, Universal, like when they had their 10-12 hour wait, there was people with health conditions and shit. So there's that argument that was waiting all day long because of how dedicated people are. But I think that Disney has the right vision. I just don't think that they're like 80% perfected right now.
Yeah, I mean, over the last couple of days of it being open, it does seem like they're finessing that process, because even today I saw someone's post that's like it was like at 6 that boarding groups 91 through 111 were being called. So that's pretty great.
Yeah, that is. And I feel like I don't know if you've been following the couple days that it's been open, but opening day, despite all the confusion in the morning, the flow of it went good. But the day 2 and day 3 have been really, really cruddy, is what I've been seeing.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
I've been seeing that. It's just been like really, especially day 3. I think like it was like 6 o'clock and they were barely on boarding group 50, which isn't good.
Ugh. Did it have breakdowns? Is that what happened?
Yeah, and I think there was only like 2 breakdowns on day 1, if I'm correct. I don't know,
Yeah.
two major ones. They may have been minor ones, but also there's the fact of the B version of the attraction.
The ending? Yeah.
Yeah, of like everything like not working inside the ride.
Yeah.
So, and one thing that I want to say is a lot of people got to ease up on Disney too, because despite them being a large corporation and they should have their shit together, the ride is very advanced. It's gonna have issues. And same with Universal, like with Hagrid's, you know how many different elements there are in Hagrid's. The amount of times it broke down, it's just they can't handle it.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's hard for me to put myself in the shoes of a person that, like, of them, and be like, oh, it's it's advanced, so we're trying to figure things out. I feel like that should be part of the R&D of building an attraction to this extent. They should be ready. They should understand what variables are in this process, so that when things do go wrong, there is a system and a process to fix it. And to me, like, it's very, very difficult for me not to be frustrated with a company who's unable to handle a ride that they've been building.
Yeah, I can see it from that too. I'm very open-minded with everything. I see it from, I always see stuff from different standpoints, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. But yeah, and they should, if they're building an attraction this immersive, this massive, and this heavily based on technology, they should have their crap together and have it like be able to go through a 13-hour day, nonstop. And I think that's where the frustrations are coming.
How silly of me to assume that a company that made plans for this ride's opening for groups of people the night before would somehow miraculously have a general understanding of an advanced attraction.
Right. Yeah, it's insane. But then again, stuff happens. They could have been prepared 110%, and then like crap happens. Do you know the process of when it breaks down? Like the people wait in line? Like, 'cause I haven't really seen anything about that. Or like the people whose board is cold.
The one time that I saw a tweet about somebody who was in line while the ride went down is they had over the loudspeaker telling resistance fighters not to leave the resistance hangar. to stay in the Resistance hangar. That's what they were told. So they were sitting there for like 3 hours apparently.
I think I saw something that was like people or CM saying like if you leave you can't get your reservation back.
Now that is some BS, because if you can't sit inside that area and need to go use the restroom, get out, go do something, you should be able to get back in. At least get in the back of the line, not get your same spot.
I don't know if CMs or just individual CMs are telling people this, but I don't think that they'd announced something like that over the speakers. I think that I think that was just a CM saying it and then someone blowing it up. Because, like you said, like if someone needed to use the restroom or something, that wouldn't be fair if they lost their spot. Like that just wouldn't be fair at all.
Honestly, it was probably some CM that had too much, who had like a power trip.
Yeah, yeah. The whole, because they say before anything, the boarding group system is not guaranteed. You can have boarding group 1 and not ride the attraction that day. That's just how it is, and it says that on the app, like all the time and everything. I've been seeing that boarding groups have been getting moved. Like I saw someone that said that they had boarding group 25 and then they got moved to like 80. Have you seen anything about that?
What? No.
Yeah, I've seen a couple people that it's more than just a one, saying that they got their boarding groups moved. And then there's the ridiculous people that say we got group 4 and we got moved to 110. Like okay, yeah, no, there's no way that would happen. But
No.
I have been seeing lots of people saying that they've been getting their boarding groups moved by like 20 boarding groups.
That's a little insane.
Yeah, that's Disney's wrong for. Because if you have your boarding group set, even though they say like it's not guaranteed or anything like that, you should not be moved to a later boarding group. That's just...
Oh, no. No. Yeah.
People, well, all the people are going to get to ride before you that had later boarding groups.
Exactly. Unless they just take like that chunk and move everything back, then everybody who's behind you gets moved back too.
Exactly. So that's the concerning thing, because there's a lot of people saying stuff regarding stuff like that, and I honestly, since knowing how Disney is, it wouldn't be a surprise if that stuff's actually true. But there's also a lot of fake stuff out there, so we never know. But I just want to put that out there, just in case any of you guys are planning to go ride Rise anytime soon. That just to be on a lookout at that. And Disney's good at sending push notifications whenever stuff gets updated.
They are pretty good about that.
So getting into the actual attraction, once our boarding groups got called, our boarding group was 20. Like I said, it was number 8 on opening day. We went in, and it was like, what time did I go in? I think I rode the ride like at 9:15, and we went in. They scanned our boarding group and everything, and then we went into the first pre-show. Spoilers ahead. We went into the first pre-show with BB and Ray, and that begins the whole like 30-minute experience of the actual attraction and everything. And it was about like 9:30. So overall, the boarding group system, when you actually get into the ride, is relatively fast. How long did you guys wait?
I would say that once we actually scanned our boarding groups, because we went in around like 1:30 or 2 in the afternoon, to that first pre-show room, maybe 25 minutes. It kind of got backed up a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like if there's minor breakdowns or if there's just guest issues, there's going to be minor. I've noticed that it's been slowing down around groups like 20 to like 25. I've been noticing.
I wonder why.
I don't know why. I think it's because you have the people in the morning who have the morning boarding groups, and they could become... It's like a fast pass, you know? If the ride breaks down and they give people multiple experience fast passes, well, they're still going to want to go ride that ride, so they're all going to go back later, so the fast pass line is going to be double. I feel like it's something like that. Just with the morning people waiting till the very end to go use their boarding group, which is weird, but I just think that's why it's slowing down, and that's like the middle of the day. Groups like 25 to 30 is like 11 o'clock, I'd say. So, middle of the day, you know. But overall, actually being
The actual system of like scanning and getting in isn't bad.
yeah, it's really really fast and it's really easy to understand. If they scan it like a fast pass and you go and wait in line and they organize you into the groups, etc. So that whole process is fast. Now I want to jump back right into the boarding group thing. Do you think that it's fair to people who say, let's say, would have Sprint? Like, do you think that you need to be quote unquote have money or like have a good phone or etc. to experience this attraction just like everybody else would?
I think that you would need. I genuinely think that you would probably need to have a newer phone. And I'm not saying like you have to have top of the notch iPhone or Android or anything, but I do think you need to have a contemporary phone that's able to connect to the internet in a fast way in order to obtain the ability to ride this attraction. No, I don't think that's saying like, oh, poor people can't ride the ride or something, because clearly everybody can afford the ticket in. I mean, it stinks that it's subjecting yourself to needing a particular type of phone, but I do think that's why they're opening the ticket system later. It really does suck. I mean, I can't really detract from that if you don't have a good enough phone, you can't do it. I don't know. It's a really weird middle section. Yeah, it's a middle section that's really hard to kind of base an opinion on, because like I understand one hand, like you have an old iPhone because that's all you can afford and it's not fast enough, you don't get a boarding group. Like I understand that's shitty. That sucks. But then there's the other hand of people who do have normal phones and they go and get it and easy peasy lemon squeezy, they're all done, including yourself. You know?
And I think that's one thing that Disney needed to realize too, is they're putting all this new stuff, this new technology out and everything, and the whole boarding group system, and they're not realizing that not everybody has access to the technology or understands the technology. I feel like, because what if some say 70-year-old grandma's taking their kid to Disneyland, you know, and that kid wants to ride Rise of the Resistance? That 70-year-old grandma's not going to know what the hell to do.
Nope. I think is the only way to make it fair, literally, is by handing out boarding groups to the people who enter the park. Paper tickets. As soon as you enter the park, boom, here's your ticket. Boom, here's your ticket. Boom, here's your ticket. As soon as you enter the park.
Multiple kiosks can be like, if you want a boarding group, go line up right there.
Yeah, like literally in the hub, everywhere. Like have areas to get the tickets like easily.
It's like Phantasmic or Watercolor. They have the fast passes there. You go up, you get a fast pass, you're good to go. Once they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah, it's a hard line to balance because they do have to advance the technology in order for them to kind of move past paper tickets, because that's where they're going. Everything's going to become digital. I think at a certain point, everybody will have a phone that's capable of doing this thing. Just right now, not everybody does. And you're right. There could be this grandma who's taking her kids to Disneyland who wanted to ride this, who doesn't even have an understanding of it. But I would assume that grandma has kids who understand it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, she's just not gonna go with like some 4-year-old and that be it.
Exactly.
To close up the whole is the boarding group system fair, I just want to give a little last minute our closing statements on it, because I'm gonna want to dive more into the attraction. So I'll start off first. I personally think that the boarding group system is actually, this is hard. It's like half fair, half not fair. It's a lottery system.
It's flawed. It's flawed.
Yeah.
It's flawed.
It's flawed, but to an extent it's fair, and to an extent it's not fair. It's just flawed. That's what it is. And I think that people need to not attack Disney as much. I can understand their frustrations, but I think that people need to stop attacking other people or Disney, because like, you know, like I've had a couple of people, I'll be like, oh I got group 1, woohoo, and then someone will be like, oh, lucky for you, I don't have that advantage, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, so why should I be ashamed about getting an early boarding group?
Yeah, but even then, it's like, just because you didn't get it doesn't mean that you need to make, like you said, you don't need to make other people feel bad for it.